This is Kirk.
And this is Byrd. This is part 2 of the Crabber Legends series, right? We got with us Robert Banks and Kevin Gould, and we're gonna now find out what happened after they left, playing on the Peninsula District, being the most dominant team in the state of Virginia over their 3 years. Tell us, guys, we'll start with you, Robert. Tell us a little bit about your recruiting process, going to Notre Dame. What made you go there? And I've said this before, we're going clearly, both of you guys were great athletes, but you had to be hitting those books as well to go to those 2 great academic institutions. So tell us about the decision to go to Notre Dame.
Well, for me, I was highly recruited, and it was crazy. Really, my recruiting experience was very crazy. You had everybody in your ear, of course, with the best attentions, if you will, and you really, it got to the point where you really didn't know who was being truthful with you, who had your best interest at heart. So I narrowed it down to a couple of schools, and one was UCLA, Ohio State, Notre Dame, University of North Carolina, and Virginia Tech. And my decision to attend Notre Dame was real simple. Again, being so highly recruited, all the things you've seen in regards to recruitment of athletes, football players, it's true. It happened. I experienced it, okay? But when it came down for me, I'm a small town kid. I attended very intimate learning environments with St. Mary's and Peninsula Catholic. I did the 3 years at Hampton. Catholic educational system. And
wow.
Because actually I turned Notre Dame down twice on recruiting trips. I was really headed to Ohio State, all right?
Right.
But when Jerry Fouts, who was the head coach, I wasn't really sold on Jerry. Matter of fact, I thought he would be fired before I graduated from Notre Dame. I thought that was coming soon. Yeah. But Jim Johnson, who was the defensive coordinator, who later became the defensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, was what sold me from a football standpoint. But when Jerry Fouts said to me, and Jerry Fouts is a good man, okay? When Jerry Fouts said to me, Robert, we'll give you an opportunity to earn a world-class education and play top-notch football. The simplicity of that, the believability of that, opposed to the other things that I was hearing, sold me. And what I tell people all the time, Notre Dame is a small school with a big name. Undergraduate is 8,000. That's the undergraduate at Notre Dame when I attended. It's not much more than that now.
Wow.
So on my recruiting trip, Mike Golick, and I didn't know Mike was Mike on my recruiting trip.
Right.
But my 2 hosts at Notre Dame when I went up was Eric Dorsey out of McLean, Virginia.
Right.
Yeah.
Alan Pinkett out of Sterling, Virginia. Right.
That's right.
Mark,
those 2 guys, they were my hosts, but both of them had girlfriends. So on my recruit, I was like, I'm not gonna hang out with you guys all night. Y'all booed up with your girlfriends. I'm gonna get out on this campus and see what's going on. And I dumped those guys, and I was walking across campus to try to get a good feel and understanding for the campus. And Mike Golick came. Again, I didn't know he was Mike, but he came along and said, "Hey, aren't you Robert Banks up here on the recruiting trip?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Come with us." And he just took me with the group of students. But it was the relationship between the students and the athletes. And when I talked to some guys that weren't getting any playing time, and they were saying, you need to come here. So some of the campuses, and I'm not going to name any campuses, but when you ran across disgruntled ball players for whatever reason, playing time, what have you, they weren't promoting the program. But at Notre Dame, guys that weren't playing were promoting the program. And I consult with parents all the time, and I had a mom call me and go, well, my son is thinking about this school, but he's already gave a verbal commitment to this one. And I tell him this, look, this is a business. College football is a business, right?
Absolutely.
Do what's best for your child and your family. And I said, and always see how they're treating the players that are not the stars, right? How are they treating those players that are not their number ones, right? And at the end of the day, it's a trade-off, right? You're trading off a 40-hour week that you're going to commit to playing ball for an education. If you leave that campus without your education, you lost. Period. Yep. But that's what did it for me in Notre Dame. Got an opportunity to earn a world-class education and play top-notch football. And that's what.
So, Kevin, real quick before we go to you, we definitely want to talk to you because we got a ton more friends and network that are University of Virginia Cavaliers than we do Notre Dame Fighting Irish. But all right, now those were the days, the Wild Wild West. You know, we're talking right when the old Southwest Conference, SMU and Eric Dickerson cars came up and all that. So without naming anything, what's the most outlandish thing that you were offered that you can reasonably say on record?
Wow. Well, without getting into, I guess, too many specifics.
No, we don't want to throw stones in a glass house. I'm just talking about back then. Things were so much different.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't really say, to be honest with you, that I had some sweetheart deals. Nobody gave me a Neil deal. I'm gonna tell you that right now. All right, I didn't get no NILs or none of that stuff back then. But I was, I visited West Virginia, visited Virginia Tech. I knew within probably 3 hours of visiting those schools that that was not the place for me. Neither of those were a good setting for me. So no disrespect to either program. West Virginia was top 20 back then. Virginia Tech was a pretty stout program, although they had not, they weren't even a conference. They were independent at that time.
Yeah, Bruce Smith was there.
But I will share that after I committed, there was a scout for UNC that showed up parked outside of my house, I think about 4 days in a row. I'm coming out of my house like a normal school morning. Guy, he's sitting there, he gets out with his trench coat on, comes up to me, and he's like, "You don't have to honor anything, man. Look, you need to come on and take a visit. What do you?" And he basically was asking me. What would it take? What can I get you? He wanted me to give him a number, but I wasn't taking that bait. I was like, "Look, man, but for 4 days, he parked in front of my house, right across the street, and waited for me to come out to get ready to go to school, and wanted to have a conversation." I was taken aback, to be honest. I mean, I wasn't that. I hadn't seen anything like that. But the University of North Carolina, I don't know if things may have gotten better, but UNC would push the envelope back then. I mean,
squeaky clean North Carolina.
Hey, brother, they were on it, and I mean, as I said, it was so. I didn't give him a number, but the offer was there. I mean, he was waiting for me to say, like, "Hey, look."
I didn't think you were going to name a school.
Yeah, my dad needs a new whip. He needs he's driving this old Lincoln Continental right now, so if you can get me one of them and maybe some other little bennies, I don't know. Guy might have come through, but anyways, that was one school that was absolutely breaking every rule that could be broken back then when they were, and surprisingly, I thought they were doing pretty good in the region, in our district rather.
Yeah,
they got Walter. I think Tim Rohr, did Tim Rohr go to North Carolina as well? I think he did.
Yes.
Walter Baylor went there.
Walter did as well, right?
Sorry?
Didn't Walter go to UNC?
Oh yeah, both of them were there. I think I remember games we played, and after the games we would chop it up and that. Tim Rohr seemed to be happy. Walter was having a ball.
Lawrence Taylor went there. Amos Lawrence.
The list goes on.
William Fuller.
But to tell you a 2-minute version of my selection of UVA, is I had Ohio State and UVA as one, 1A and 1B.
Mm-hmm.
Ohio State had a pipeline at the time we were coming out. I think there was, I think somebody from Lafayette, the ski department.
Ron Springs went there.
Yes,
Sean
Skeeter-
Gale went there.
Ron Springs, Sean Gale. There you go.
Jimmy Gale.
Jimmy Gale. Both of them?
Yep, both of them.
And what's the tight end out of Hampton in the older gentleman? God.
Oh, you're talking about going back now. Teddy Powell.
Teddy Powell.
Teddy Powell was Ohio State.
Yeah.
So I was kind of enamored really with Ohio State. Long story short, man, I went to UVA. I had Carolina and Ohio State lined up. Went to UVA, man, prayed about it. And I had a piece. I was like, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
And literally that's how it went down for me. I went there. Kenny Stadlin was my host.
Oh yeah.
Crabber, kicker.
We played some pool that night. Put some money on the table too. I didn't take his money, but I beat him though. I beat him. But Kenny Stadlin, you know the story on him. He became pretty successful there. But he was my host, and UVA had the balance that I was looking for. And like Rob, I was very observant of the players. Were they student athletes?
Right.
And that was important to me. So that really is how it went down for me in choosing where to go to school. What year was Welsh because you were 82, 83?
He just came in.
It was his second year. Second year. They were 2-9 the year before I got there, and then my freshman year, we were 6-5, but we lost one player that would have probably gotten us over the hump. His name was Quentin Walker. Dude was a phenomenal. I'll tell you who he was. He was on par with who was the big time receiver out of Nebraska.
Irving Fryer.
Irving Fryer.
That was him. That's him. Irving Fryer. So that's who we had. So you can imagine UVA didn't have many of those guys. He went down and we ended up, I think we were 5-1, something like that. And then we ended up tailspin. Yeah, we didn't have a deep threat.
But
Who recruited you? Who recruited you for UVA? Who was your recruiter?
There's a gentleman named Tom O'Brien who, he went on.
Tom O'Brien.
Yeah, he racked up. He racked up the area, Kirk.
Yeah, he sure he did very well. He recruited my brother. But Ray Savage, you were a part of that group though, with Welsh that turned things around, and you did it with a lot of players from the 757.
Yep.
You know when Keith McMeans.
Yep. Keith McMeans. Welsh was a hell of a coach. I'm just going to tell you, just plain and simple. He was he had the military background.
Mm-hmm.
That was the difference. UVA had talent. It was just, Bestwick I guess he did the best he could, but it took somebody of, Welsh's caliber to come in there and harness, and it didn't take long.
Yeah. A few years later, you had already left, but they were ranked number 1 in the nation when they went into to play Virginia Tech. And
that was our senior year.
Yeah.
First time they beat Clemson ever.
We owned the state back then. It was just, Virginia Tech got some good players, of course. The other schools got, 1 or 2 went to other institutions, but basically Welsh had his pick. And once he got Sladen and Kirby, that did it. That really did it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Rob, tell us about your time up there at Notre Dame. As a player, or even just as a student, anything stick out? Were you there for 4 years?
Yes, I was there for 4 years, and very, very close-knit student body. I'm not sure if they have fraternities now, but back then there were no fraternities. The model was, pretty much one band, one sound.
Okay.
We didn't have athletic dorms. We were integrated in with the student body. My freshman year, I had 3 roommates. One was a ball player, the other one was a regular student. But a lot of tradition, if you will. And at the time that I attended Notre Dame, just to give you an idea, of the setting, there was no financial aid, right? Either your parents could afford to send you to Notre Dame,
Wow.
or you were on scholarship.
And it was a private school also.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Private school. Academics. I can recall we were preparing for a bowl game one year. I think it was the Liberty Bowl. We played Boston College and Doug Flutie freshman year. And I can recall there was a gentleman named Professor DeChico. He was the fencing coach, but he was over academics for all of the athletic programs. And I can recall him coming out to the practice field, ordering us off the field because we were supposed to be off the field by a certain time because we had exams coming up, around bowl time. So now my experience there, starting off was very was very tough, and a part of that was I mentioned at the onset that the worst thing that a coach can do is lose the trust of his players, and I lost the trust of my coaches. And the reason I lost the trust of my coaches because you got a depth chart, right? And on the depth chart, I was pegged at number 2 on the depth chart. But game time, right? We're playing Purdue, you're Jim Everett's, right? And there's guys going in the game that's behind me on the depth chart, right? And the coach has me walking around behind him telling me to stay ready, right? And I lost trust because I played for a coach that did what he said that he was going to do, right? If I'm not number 2 on the depth chart, don't put me at number 2 on the depth chart. I was begging to go play because at that time, I think we had a freshman team. They played freshman ball at that time. Okay. And I was begging to go play freshman ball. Right? I don't want to travel. Right? Let me go play. I want to play. I'm not. So when they lost my trust, and actually after that Purdue game, I actually stopped practicing. Wow. I would go to practice and sit on my helmet. And they would go, "Hey, we're gonna send you home, this and that. Well, let's do it. Let's be done with it." Right? And they actually called Coach Smith, right, to tell him that, hey, he's not practicing. And Coach Smith told him, "We'll send him home. We'll find somewhere for him to go." Wow. Right? But lo and behold, there was a guy named Bishop Harris, because actually I was networking with Kevin, actually trying to get a transfer or talking about transferring to UVA.
Oh, we're glad you didn't do that.
Yeah. After the Liberty Bowl, I had a coach that came in, Bishop Harris, that had recruited me for LSU, and he coached at North Carolina State, Simon Gupton and Woodrow Wilson. He had recruited our area for Duke and so on. So he called me up and said, "Hey, come on back. We're gonna get it right." All right. But my overall experience was great. I have a network of buddies that we've been tight since freshman year. We talk or text every day as we move through life. And we've just been there for each other. But I'll say this about Notre Dame. It is a great university to attend. It is a very tight-knit group. When I was doing executive recruiting, I would call Notre Dame individuals that were in hiring positions matter of fact, I called one lady. She was married to Bullock. What was the name of the guy, the fullback from Bullock that came out of one of the Newport News schools? He played fullback at Notre Dame. Yeah, Dwayne Bullock. Yeah. Dwayne Bullock.
Bullock's a big name on the peninsula. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, doing my networking, I would call and say, "Hey, this is Robert Banks' class of 87. And the decision maker would pick up the phone. They were class of 67. So very tight-knit campus, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's a special place. And in regards to the graduation rate, here recently, Bettis got his degree.
Yep.
Yeah, right? I saw that.
I think 2 years ago or 3 years ago, Ricky Waters got his degree, right? So
Pennsylvania guy.
So, you know, when you go to Notre Dame, right, you get your degree, right?
That's
You
good
get your
stuff.
degree. And their motto is, if we can get you in, we can get you out. And they're committed to it. Because I left school 6 hours short of my degree. And every year I went back after my second year in the pros and finished up. But every year I was getting calls, when are you coming back? When are you coming back?
Right. What did you get
Wow.
your degree in, Robert?
I had my degree in psychology.
Okay. And just your last year was Lou Holtz's first year.
First year, absolutely.
Right. And you
Absolutely.
overlapped with some of those national championship guys, Tony Rice, Rocket,
Yep.
Ismail.
Rocket was Tony was a freshman my senior year.
But you had Tim Brown. You played
Yep,
with
Tim
Tim
Brown.
Tim is 1 year behind me.
Mm-hmm.
We had Tim Brown. We had Mark Pavaro. Mark was 1 year ahead of me.
Wow.
Stonebreaker.
Mark, yep. And Steve Berline was the quarterback.
Wow.
But we had some
Starstruck.
we had some
But
guys.
hold on. Y'all had some ballers, but UVA, this was starting their time of greatness. So who are some of the you did you play with Mikowski, Kevin?
Yeah. Don and I were the same class.
Oh wow. Okay.
The ironic how that works. Don, we had three quarterbacks that came in with Don.
CQ.
Don Mikowski included. We had a gentleman named Scott Seacuse. Now you may not recognize that name. Scott played maybe 8-9 years in the league. He backed up Dan Marino.
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
So Scott was third string. Kevin Ferguson, he's from the western part, like Appomattox area, was the starting quarterback at UVA. Magic came in maybe second or third game and took over the helm. So Welsh had three quarterbacks of that caliber in the same recruiting year. I mean, it was crazy. So again, two NFL guys, and Kevin Ferguson was such a great athlete. They moved him to tight end. He played strong safety. He was that good. He was a super athlete, heck of a guy. But yeah, that's those were Mikowski. Obviously, once he got his opportunity, it was rest is history. But yeah.
And you also played with Lagerman, Jeff Lagerman. And
Played with Jeff Lagerman. Played with
Sean Moore was a freshman when you were a
Sean,
senior, right?
I think, was redshirting.
Okay. Yeah.
Ironically, a lot of those guys, I want to say, now I may be slipping a little bit. I don't know. I think I had graduated when Herman Moore started. I think they were 1 year apart.
I think Herman Moore was 86, 87.
He was 87, 87 with us.
But we had a host of guys, man. We had Jim Dombrowski, number 4.
Outland Trophy winner.
There you go. A hell of a student. I think he was a chemistry major or something, pre-med or something like that. Clean football player, just incredible. I think he ran at 300 at that time, running a 4.9 something. Pretty impressive for a guy his size.
Oh, yeah.
But there, Barry Word was probably one of the most
Word, that was my man.
Probably one of the most underrated, talented. He was a horse. He was a horse.
Yes.
And again, Lagerman was on the team, as well as a few other guys. Again, Lester Lyles, he was a DC guy, but he had a pretty good career, as well as John Ford. John Ford was a freshman.
Big time, number 17.
John,
there you go.
That's right. That's right.
And so there are a lot of guys, man, and there are a lot of linemen from my years that a number of them, I'll say anyways, that went on and played in NFL. Very good. That was Tom O'Brien. He was the offensive line coach.
Yep.
So he had a good run, and that was one thing that we could do at UVA. I would love to see it again. We ran the ball.
Yep.
We could line up and bring it at you. We had
great running backs. UVA's got great running backs.
There you go.
I do want to, and we don't want to. We want to try to, tighten this just so that the listeners will not be too intimidated by saying, "Oh, it's 2 hours." But look, let's do this. You both, I want to get your perspective on this. I want to know about what your thoughts are on the new coaches that you both have. All right, and what do you look at? What are you looking forward to with your program? And then after that, just tell us a little bit about what did you do after after your college playing days? But
That's a
right now,
great- That's a great question, Rusty.
both
On
of
your new coaches,
you have
because
new
both of your
coaches.
programs have new coaches. Why don't you start
Yes.
off with Coach Elliott, who is he was a hot commodity. The guy is
Yeah, he
young.
was.
He's got a great pedigree. Right now, he is recruiting his booty off. And Kevin, I'm sure you know this, Robert. I don't know if you know this or not, but Coach Elliott was from Los Angeles and was homeless, and his mother unfortunately lost her life, and he moved to South Carolina to live with relatives, and that's how he got to Clemson and was a big hire for the University of Virginia. So how do you feel about that hire, being a UVA alumni?
I'm very excited to have Tony, and we're fortunate. His story is incredible. You know, he's doing things that seems like the right way. I like the staff he's put around him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Chris Slade is on there.
I don't want to take away. I mean, Mike London, man, we were so excited when Mike got the job. We wish that things could have gone better. You know, that's just the way it was.
Yeah.
Mike did his best. And you know, hey, he had an opportunity, but now Tony Elliott, fast forward, he's doing his thing seemingly his way. It seems like they're giving him autonomy to do it the way he wants to do it. I think that he has a system. As I said, I do like the staff that he's bringing. I've noticed some of the folks that he retained. Of course, you guys know we still have Hagan's on the squad.
Marcus Hagan.
We got Marcus on the squad. Yeah, and bringing Slade up, of course, is really key. Holding on to Sidham.
He's from Woodbridge. Yep.
Yes,
right up here with me. Yep.
But these guys have a mentality that I think is key to getting the brand of, I'm going to say, Virginia football back. You know, we sort of lost something, it seems like, over the years. So hopefully, I think Tony is going to build it. And I do believe we just recently signed. I don't remember the kid. We got a good running back here in the past.
Fredericksburg. It was like 2 days ago.
Thank you. Yeah. But you know, for whatever reason, in the past years, we were not getting the high caliber running backs, and it was a deficiency for us. You know, we were getting these small slasher kind of guys. Last year, you know, the guys we had, hard running, but they were just small guys. And sometimes, man, third down, you just need a dude that's going to move the pile. And so, I think Tony is going to get that. Still, you know, bringing the quarterback back. That was huge. I mean, getting Armstrong to commit one more year. So we're gonna, you know, he's gonna make the most of that. And then it's key to see what quarterbacks. That's been something that I think we haven't done as well as I would like to see us do. But I think Tony will get his hands on quarterbacks that are going to fit and perform well in the ACC. But we're looking forward to this year. You know, his door has been open to us. We're planning to go up.
Oh, great!
For the first game,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, season tickets. Excuse me, I'm not a season ticket holder, but I hope to become. I hope to become one. I mean, I love going up to Charlottesville. Excuse me, guys. Love going up to Charlottesville and rooting on the Wahoos, man. And as Robert said too about Notre Dame, Virginia is a school that you got student athletes on the field. I tend to root for teams that I know the guys got to cut it in the classroom. It's just, you know, way I feel about it. It's just, you know, no knock to other programs, but I do know that at Virginia, you're going to go to class, or you're going to have to find another home to be an athlete at. But yeah, we're really excited. Coming from Clemson, excuse me, but he knows what it takes. I'm hoping we can flip the script there and start winning and beating Clemson again. So, yeah,
real quick point of information. I'm sorry. was trying to get that pause. I'm going to let Robert go, but UVA broke ground today at 5:00 on the Football Operations Center,
Yes.
which is
Yes.
going to be actually Liberty has a football only complex. So I just want to put this out there, in the facilities race, the Hokies are behind. UVA is going to have a football facility before Virginia Tech. So with what Rusty's great question, Robert, what are your feelings on the new hire with Brian Kelly leaving kind of, controversially?
We want to wish Coach Kelly the best. He did a great job at Notre Dame in regards to getting the team into the playoffs, year after year, and unable to finish once they got into playoffs. And his decision was based on what was best for him and his family. So all the best to him. Now, in regards to Coach Freeman, it spoke volume to me how he got the nod in regards to his players going to the administration and going, "This is our guy." Right. So that told me off the bat, this is a player's coach. And so that spoke volume to me. Now, I think what he has to do now is make sure he gets a hold of the administrative side, because when you're coach at the University of Notre Dame, you're in spotlight, right? And you can't hide. You're going to be on TV week in and week out, so you have to do well. And coming behind Brian Kelly got the team into the playoff series a number of years. But being that he is that player coach, right? That's proven by the results of those players going to the administration. Now, recruiting, that's a guy who can recruit. And I've scratched my head for a number of years now. Why can't Notre Dame land a 5-star quarterback? Are you kidding me?
They used to.
and I think the result of that is Brian Kelly's track record with his quarterbacks, right? You get kids start scratching their heads going, this guy's supposed to be a quarterback guru, right? Why is his quarterbacks not doing well, at Notre Dame? But I think what Freeman brings to the table, I think he has the ability to go into the living room of 5-star and 4-star homes and selling himself, where kids are going to go, all right, I can go to South Bend, right, where it's frigid weather, okay, and make it happen. Because let's face it, as a quarterback, you go to Notre Dame, you do well, you might win a Heisman. That's just flat out. Yeah. You go to Notre Dame and you do well as a quarterback, you'll be in that Heisman talk.
Joe Theismann, Joe Montana, Tony Elliott.
Because you're going to get the exposure. You're going to get that. Okay. Right. Now, what Kelly has also done that he's reached out to the alums. He's reaching out to the alums. He's creating opportunities and events to get the alums involved with his program, where his ball players can network with alums that are doing well and help them with their journey in regards to developing off the field. So I'm loving that. What's the coach? I'm trying to think of the name of the coach. Did a good job at that as well. Coach
at Notre Dame.
Yes, heavyset. He was
Charlie Weiss.
Charlie Weiss. Yep. Charlie Weiss did an excellent job of getting alums back on campus and interacting with the program. Right. So I'm just hoping that Coach Freeman can balance it, because it's a lot. It's a lot, and sometimes you can have too much exposure to your alums. Right. And sometimes not enough. Right. Yeah. But also putting together, because he was a defensive coordinator, but now he has to take that cap off and be a game manager. Right. He's got it. And I think he's going in the right direction and putting the offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, and that will allow him to manage the game.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, good stuff. Man, so you guys, what did you do after you finished your college days? What does it look like? What were you guys into, and what are you doing now?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Okay, well, thanks, Rusty and Kirk. Well, my senior year at UVA, and I did work out for one team, and I realized, man, guys were. I just knew I was done. You know, it was time for me to pretty much say, hey, football has served its purpose. I'm not gonna, as much as I wanted to play on the next level, I just I wasn't willing to risk not graduating on time, if you will, to chase the dream. And I mean, I wanted to. But anyways, I was blessed, man, to play. And then after school, I simply decided, hey, I wanted to be an engineer, but I couldn't handle football and engineering at UVA. It was just wasn't I wasn't built that. I wasn't that smart. And so when I got out of school, you know, I went back and went to Thomas Nelson. Ended up doing kind of an associate's program there. Ended up going to ODU, working on a master's degree in engineering. So
Wow.
Things fell in place for me to go back and really do what I really wanted to do when I went to UVA. I do want to note now that there were, you know, I guess Rob's kind of saying, being honest, you know, there were coaches. I was telling coaches when I was being recruited, I wanted to be an architect, I wanted to be an engineer, and they were just shooting me down.
Yep.
Yeah, I wasn't the smartest kid, you know, maybe coming out of school, but I knew what I wanted to do. So I kind of just want to say to some of these kids who do aspire to do science or whatever they want to aspire to be, doctors, don't let recruiters peg you and that, you know, tell you can't achieve whatever you want in your academic field. So I'm a witness. You know, I work now at NASA. I've been there since 2008, doing exciting work. You know, space shuttles, working on aircraft, commercial aircraft, doing a lot of fun stuff. So hey, I'm a kid that you know, my parents were 8th grade education, and I think on 10th grade education. Father had 10th grade, my mother had 8th grade education. But she instilled in us, you know, a work ethic. And so look, man, yeah, tell your kids to pursue academically, pursue, and don't let anyone tell you, and be willing to do whatever you have to do. So that's my story.
Awesome, man.
I'm just thankful, you know.
That's great.
And yeah.
Are you
So
you in Hampton? Are you at NASA?
I am at Langley. I
Okay,
am at Langley.
Okay, I didn't know if you were
Yes.
Greenbelt. Okay.
So real quick, Kevin, my son is doing an internship there. I want to connect you this summer.
Do that.
He's 17.
Do that.
I want to connect you guys. And two.
Okay, great. I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah.
So let's offline.
Yeah.
We can.
Offline, I'll tell you a few things about him in the space world. But also, I want to do a quick shout out. I'm a Hokie Nation. There's only one football player that I know of that got a degree in aeronautical engineering and at Virginia Tech. That is the hardest. And that is Rusty Pendleton, who played linebacker from Gate City, played football and got a degree in aeronautical engineering. So like you said, it can be done. And I do know that a lot of times with a vigorous curriculum, guys are steering with you. You don't want to do that. We need you. So I'm glad you pointed that out. So go ahead,
Congrats.
Robert, catch us up, you know, with obviously, you know, you have the pro route, and tell us where everything led for you.
Well, when football was no longer an option to me, like many professional athletes, I had to figure it out. You know, what was my next move, and you know, it was a process, and coming to the realization that something that I had done for such a long time was no longer an option. But I was determined to transition, and you know, I was Robert before I was a football player. Right. So I was determined to prove that I could be successful outside of the game. And actually, my first, what I refer to as my first real job, was with Dr. Pepper as an account manager And but that wasn't fulfilling for me. And one day I saw an ad in the paper for a high school recruiter, and I'm going, wow. And when I read the job description, it stated that I would have the opportunity to get out in front of young people and talk to them about the importance of furthering their education. And that hit home for me because I grew up in a household where education was preached. My mother got her college degree. My mother graduated from Hampton Institute at the time.
Institute, HI.
She must have been a teacher. She must have been a teacher.
Right. So no. She graduated the same year I graduated high school.
Okay.
She graduated college. But to me, again, education was always the forefront in our house. So the opportunity to get out in front of young people and talk to them about furthering their education appealed to me greatly. So I've been in education now for 18 years. I'm the director of admissions at a school called the Aviation Institute of Maintenance. We're based out of Virginia Beach, Virginia, owned by a gentleman, a Virginia Tech grad, Mr. Gerald Yagan, who owns the Flight Museum in Virginia Beach.
Okay.
And he owns, I think he owns a total of 21 schools stretching from the East Coast to the West Coast. 13 of the schools are aviation schools. So I spend my days now managing an admissions team. But for me, it was, the importance of stressing education. I believe that education is a catalyst to create change. So that's where my passion lies, and that's what I've been doing for the last going on 18 years now. Wow.
Yeah. You guys allowed football to take you places, and that's the thing again that we got. My brother, again, my baby brother played at Virginia Tech. Then played a little bit in the CFL, but in the off season, he got his master's and PhD from Virginia Tech, and he never paid a dime for his education. But but that who, and I'm gonna tell you, my brother, he wouldn't be embarrassed me to say he was recruited by a lot of schools, Ohio State, Tennessee, but he didn't get his SAT scores that he needed right away. Jim O'Brien was recruiting pretty heavily, but back then you had to have a 700 and a certain GPA. Now they kind of sometimes they don't. Well, they waived it with COVID, but now when they come back, it's a changing scale. So the higher your GPA, the lower your SAT score can be. Right. But I say this to say that my brother struggled, and Darren and I experienced some of the same stuff coming out of high school. He could not get a 700 on his SATs. He took it time after time after time. But my mom, we didn't go have any prep classes or anything. But he has good GPA, and but he kept trying, and he got it on the last. I think he got it the last time he took it, which might have been May or June. I know it was around that summertime. He had committed to Virginia Tech because they said, we're going to commit to you no matter what happens. But he got it. He got his score, and look at what he was able to accomplish. And that's all I'm saying. Like, here's a kid who, early on they were, had to take extra reading classes or had to do this and that. But he's now a professor at Norfolk State and is doing extremely well. But education, football allowed him to go do something that he may not have been able to have that same opportunity. So you guys have definitely made the most of your education, your football, your playing careers. And as we get ready to wrap this up, tell us about what some of the things you guys like to do outside of your work. What do you like to do for fun? Tell us maybe about your families. Have any of you guys coached, even if it was the youth level?
I haven't done any coaching. I did a little league coaching when my kids were, playing the different little league sports. And for the last, up until December of last year, I've been running around supporting my kids. My daughter played collegiate volleyball, both indoor and sand. Made sports work for her. Got her, earned her master's. And my son played college football at the University of UTEP. What was not a great football player, didn't get a whole lot of time, but he used that scholarship to earn his degree. And so for the last, man, it's like I said, since December, my wife and I, we've been running around. We've been married now for 32 years, my wife and I.
Wow.
And
That's a
we've been
blessing.
around supporting our kids. I do get out and speak to young people as often as I can, somewhat motivational speaking in regards to furthering their education, setting goals, making sure that the company they keep, taking a look at the company they keep, and I'll say this about, digressing for a quick minute about Notre Dame. I wasn't the best of students coming out of high school, but when I went to Notre Dame, they stuck me in a room with a high school valedictorian who was a mechanical engineer, right? And my other roommate was an aerospace engineer, okay? Ooh. And the mechanical engineer was a football player. He got his degree in 4 years, right? And then went and got his master's while playing football and graduated cum laude. So I always tell my kids and other kids, choose your friends wisely, right? Because the influence that both of my roommates had on me molded my study habits and my commitment to the books, not just doing enough to get by.
Yeah.
Hey, congrats to you, Rob. You and your wife, man, I'm doing a lovely job with your kids.
We froze. Kev froze up.
Kev, you froze up. He probably just needs to.
Are we back?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you good. You're good.
Okay, I'm sorry. I too have 2 kids. Been married, be 30 years in November.
Wow. Congrats. Congratulations.
And had a daughter that graduated from Howard University in 2017. My son graduated from VMI in 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
2 great schools.
Yeah, both of them are homeowners now. We've been.
Kevin, you froze again, buddy. He'll come back. See what it takes. So while we're waiting, we'll let Kevin finish when he gets back. We go with this, but I wanted to point out a couple of quick things, Robert, and hopefully Kevin will get back in. And it's a tie, and I'll do the first one, but they're ties to our area and to what's going on, and that is this. Matt Winston Jr. is a friend of mine. He graduated from Kempsville in '86. His father graduated from Booker T in the 50s. And he is the first African-American student to ever get an engineering degree from Virginia Tech. And he spent his whole career at NASA Langley. So I wanted to tell Kevin about that. And also for UVA, this goes back to Kevin also, but Hannibal Howell, Dr. Hannibal Howell, who basically lived on the last house on the right on Pembroke Avenue before you went over the Hampton River Bridge.
Yep.
He went to Hampton University, Hampton Institute, and his son went to Phoebus. He was the first African-American to get a medical degree from UVA. So that's coming from our area, and that ties back, and we'll let Kevin know about
Make
that.
sure he doesn't have to be, make sure Kevin doesn't have to be let in.
Thank you.
I know that was.
Yeah. No, so far, we're good. So yeah, go ahead and why don't you wrap us up? He might just have some latency problems. Here he comes. Go ahead, Rusty. Well,
Okay,
let's transition
Rob,
and try to.
We're going to transition to a couple of things. Just to wrap up here a little bit. What do you do now? Do you watch anything particular on TV? Are you streaming anything? Are you in Netflix or any of those platforms? Are you streaming anything, or do you have a favorite movie you like to watch?
No, don't do. I don't do a lot of streaming. My wife and the kids, they do streaming, and they'll have Dad come watch this. But I am a huge competitive sport junkie. I mean,
okay,
from golf, right? volleyball. My daughter being a volleyball player, I watch sand volleyball. I watch, indoor volleyball. Of course, your football, your basketball, your baseball. Man, I just love competitive sports on TV. That's my deal. So that's what I enjoy doing, man. If it's competition, if it's competitive, if it's closeout game, it's lose or go home. That's what I enjoy watching. That's me.
Okay.
And I watch a lot of different college sports. Of course, I watch your Virginia Tech, your UVA, Maryland, because I know so many of the Tidewater kids are playing on those teams. University of North Carolina, and then of course I watch my Domers, and there was a kid out of Bethel.
Jeremiah.
Linebacker.
Yes, and I'm sitting there, I'm rooting for those guys. So I actually, and I heard this on your show about the best high school football players. Andy Heck was a freshman. Andy's out of Northern Virginia. Andy Heck was a freshman my senior year. Came in as a tight end, and they converted him to an offensive tackle. But his son plays for the Texans. And Andy and I had an opportunity to spend some time with Andy last summer. Okay. And, I watch his son. I always root for the home team. So as bad as our Texans are performing, I'm always rooting for the home team. Right.
Hey, Robert, let me ask you, do you have a favorite movie of all time? It doesn't have to be sports. What is it? Is it
Rudy?
No. Absolutely not. Rudy is the story of an underdog, right?
Right.
And us being involved in sports, there was always an underdog. Okay. And buddies of mine who I played with at Notre Dame, we sit back and we go, we got blood, skin, broken bones spread out all over that field, and we don't have a movie. And Rudy played one play, 2 plays. He got a doggone movie. He got a doggone movie. But it was that perseverance. That was his perseverance on his part. But my favorite movie, and I want to say back then it was called The Greatest, about Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Right? And I think the new one is Ali with Will Smith.
Ali. Awesome.
But, but The Greatest, the first documentary, I guess, that came out, I can watch that over and over and over.
Yeah, man, that is great. That's a good call right there. That's a good call. I'll tell you, for me, and we'll let you go next, Kevin, my favorite movie of all time is Hoop Dreams. And that was a documentary, but the producer of that played basketball and attended Hampton High School. If you didn't know that, I'll
Steve. It's Steve.
Steve.
He did the 30 for 30 on.
He did it 30. Yeah, I'll get it before, but he played basketball in the 70s at Hampton High School. Okay. And so I love that. And what about you, Kevin? Do you have a favorite movie of all time? It doesn't have to be sports, but is there anything that you'll stop on anytime it's on TV?
Did he freeze again?
Yeah, I think he just did.
He was right until I asked the question.
He was just ready to talk.
I know. That's cool. All right. So if he gets back on, he'll be able to answer that.
Yeah.
One last thing that we like. Do you have a favorite thing you like to do outside of sports? So is there anything? Do you like to walk? Do you like to travel? Anything that you tell us that we go, oh, that's interesting. That's very interesting.
I'm not sure if it's interesting, but I'm very tuned in and focused on my health. Right? Probably that I'm aging. So when I saw Kirk send me a text this morning about little after 3 his time. Right, I'm like, okay, Kirk's an early riser, so at 4 a.m.
I'm tired.
I'm headed to the gym. I'm headed to the gym to get that cardio and that lightweight bearing exercise in. Watching my diet. I'm somewhat of a Bob the Builder around the house. home projects. I have a late model vehicle that I tinker with from time to time. I very much enjoyed fishing. Once the kids got involved in sports, especially at the high school and college level, hadn't been able to do much of that, but I'm looking to get back into that now. But yeah, man, I just try to make sure I enjoy life every single day. And I tell people all the time, I said, I don't have a bad day. Some days are just better than others.
Man, that is a blessing.
Hey, man.
So, I don't know if Kevin will be able to get back on, but I just want to say thank you, man, for doing this show. You have really blessed us. You and Kevin have both blessed us, and if you watched you watched, I'm pretty sure you were mentioned among some of the greatest football players to come out of the state of Virginia. I'm pretty sure we
had you way up there.
Well, you know what, Rusty? When I saw that episode, right, I kind of thought about, where do I fit in that conversation, or do I even fit in that conversation? And this is the reason. And you correct me if I'm wrong. Most of your guys you name are all phenomenal athletes, right? I didn't touch the ball. Most of the guys you mentioned touched the ball.
Touch the ball, yeah.
I never touched the ball. So where do I fit in that conversation? Now, I know Sean Gale was mentioned. Now, did Sean play tight end? And what? Linebacker? Sean was a tight end and linebacker.
I think in the linebacker, yeah.
Right.
I think so, yeah.
But I was looking for some guys that didn't touch the ball being in that conversation.
So the one or two, I think Bruce Smith.
Chris Slade.
He was
phenomenal outside linebacker.
We didn't put Bruce Smith in because he wasn't highly recruited. We also talked. Yeah, but we also talked about Linwood Lumpkins.
Yep.
We talked about Sean Gale. We talked about we didn't include Cam Chancellor from Virginia Tech because he was lightly recruited. But we definitely Ronnie Barber.
Yep.
Probably going to go to the Hall.
But still, who?
Ahmad Brooks.
Who was hot?
Our top five. I know our top five. Our top five.
Brooks.
Well, we haven't switched.
Yeah.
I think Kevin's coming back in. What we had was, I had Curry number 1. I had Iverson number 2. Leroy Keys number 3. And I had Harvin and help me out. Harvin and Kirby.
Yep.
In that order.
Phenomenal ball players. Yep.
You had Harvin, Kirby, Keys, and Curry, Iverson. That's the way you ranked them.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, you guys, I just want to thank you guys for the invite. It's been very enjoyable. You guys are doing a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Highlighting high school sports in the state of Virginia. And just, man, keep doing what you guys are doing. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. I'm on my 20th hour and I'm energized, but I had to go at the Baltimore. Kevin, good to have you back, man. We want to get you talking because of that internet latency. I'm a technology guy. It's all going to go away. It's all coming from a satellite, but that's going to happen. You'll be able to get it. Yeah.
No problem.
Go ahead, Rusty. Take it.
I'm gonna close this out, but I want to start. I'm gonna see if I can get you guys involved in this. I've talked about it since some of our early episodes, but we're about to kick off a campaign, Kirk and Byrd, to help some of the facilities in the city of Hampton, and in particular, a passion of mine is to see if they can get a turf field for Darling Stadium. Right. So I may be calling on you guys to help us with that, because I live up here in Northern Virginia. And my kids, now I have a son who's a pretty decent football player, but he's never even played a game on a grass field. And he's got his middle school has 2 turf fields. And my point in saying Darling Stadium and Todd Stadium have a turf field is just because 4 schools share that field. Okay. Yep. I don't want to see people get hurt, but you're talking about football, soccer, lacrosse, whatever they're doing. And so I just like to see, if we can help get some grassroots thing going and see if we got 4 high schools and a whole administration to be able to contribute to get a turf field at Darling Stadium. And the same, I hope, for Todd. So that's something we're going to be trying to kick off and we want to.
Yeah, we want to tap in to people from the area, specifically Hampton first and then Newport News second. We're going to start a formal organization. I've been on the board of a nonprofit. Rusty's very experienced as executive at the State Department. I already know an attorney that'll get us 501c3. We're going to need a board, and we're going to raise money for this, and we're going to get the kids in Hampton on turf, because the health, the fields. I don't know if you guys have seen any of the games. Rusty and I have seen some highlights, and the fields are just really, really bad. Todd Stadium had a camp the other day, and it looked like, yeah.
And then there's nothing wrong with playing on grass, but it's the difficulty comes in December or November when the playoffs come around, and you have the same speed. Hampton and Phoebus and Bethlehem, they're speed teams. And maybe that's fine back when we were all running. I ran the wishbone, and we're trudging down the field. But just before the safety and the durability of what's needed for year-round sports and 4 teams sharing that stadium. So you'll hear more about it.
Yeah.
But again, thank you guys for being a part of this, man. You guys, this is more than exceeded what we ever could have expected. Yeah. Let us know also if there's anything we can help you outside of this that you may want to promote. If you have a church or organization that you're passionate about and you want some help, you can come back, or you can even say it now to let us know if it's something we can help promote.
Absolutely. Hey guys, appreciate it. Be safe. Enjoy it.
You guys
all right.
Incredible example of sports and education, and we all come from the same place. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Y'all be blessed.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
All right, guys. Have a great night.